Welcome to the special edition of Event.com's Ask an Event Pro, brought to you by RunningUSA. Legend, Mr. Dave McGillivaray joins us. How the heck you doing, buddy?
Legend.
Legend.
In my own mind.
So you've been out, have you been out on the course here yet for Olympic marathon trials?
Yeah, we have. We're helping out with the lead vehicle program.
Yeah.
So I'll be in the men's lead vehicle press truck. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, given the gap between the start of the men's and the start of the women's, and whether the men are going to catch the back end of the women. So we're going to be really sensitive out there as far as how we move the vehicles and all.
Right, and a lot of turns on the course.
A lot of turns, a lot of it down by USC.
Right.
The majority of the turns down there, and there are 180-degree turns too.
Right.
So very unique course for sure.
As somebody who's been involved in running for so many years, talk a little bit about the big change in running in the last 15 years or so. More women in the sport, the sport has become more open to anybody to achieve their goals. And obviously Boston has been Boston's been the epicenter for running for so long. How has all this change affected you in Boston?
Well, the walls of intimidation have crumbled. Years and years ago when I started my business putting on events, people said, "You think you can earn a living putting on a road race?" And I said, well, it's not just a road race. In my mind, it was always about the concept that it's a means to an end, that people set goals, they earn the right to do the race, they cross the finish line, they go home feeling good about themselves.
Right.
So that's what the sport has become. It's about raising the level of self-confidence and self-esteem of tens of thousands of people in America. It was very competitive then, not that it's not now, but a lot of it is more about participation.
Right.
And again, feeling good about themselves. And it can coexist. So what I love about the sport today is that on the front end, it's still very competitive.
Always, yeah.
But then we have people who just want to get out there and not be a spectator, but a participant, and their races are selling out at record pace. So for us, in the event management business, it can't get any better than that. Boston, again, unfortunately, one of the biggest challenges we have is that more and more people are participating in running, so more and more are qualifying. So we have a field size limit. So unfortunately, people who qualify still get turned away.
Sure.
And that's something that we want to continue to work on, and how we approach that is going to be interesting over the next couple of years.
You're one of the guys, for years, runners were runners and triathletes were triathletes, and people didn't cross over. But you're a guy who did Ironman in 1980, kicked my ass by about 7-8 hours, whatever it was. And you were one of those guys that early on was involved with both. You're in both Hall of Fames. I still find that runners can be a little not understanding the value of cross-training, that you can run forever by running less. It seems like you've adopted that over the years.
Well, I'm a perfect example of it, because up until I was around 40 years of age, I was running and running and running and running.
Right.
But then I decided I need to start cross-training. I want to do some swimming and some biking. And I think that extended my running career by virtue of the fact I got distracted from having to run 120, 130 miles a week, and I was spreading it out over different disciplines.
Right.
So that saved me throughout the years, where I think a lot of my peers kept running really strong, really hard, and really long, and today
they can't walk.
61, artificial hips, artificial knees. We didn't know back then, back in the 70s, we were running 120, 130 miles a week. No one knew then, 40 years later, what would happen.
Sure.
So here we are.
Right.
And what has happened is that a lot of these people aren't running anymore. So, to be able to cross-train, to spread it out over different disciplines, I think is a wise thing to consider.
A couple of years ago, you had a health scare and pretty much changed everything, because you're a guy who ran Boston every year. Dave's healthy, right? People would assume that you were healthy, but you were fit, but you weren't necessarily healthy. How scary was that for you?
Well, I was out running and I could feel some difficulty breathing, and I knew myself something was wrong. So I did all the tests, stress tests, EKGs, echocardiograms. My lungs were great, my heart was great. No, and there's nothing wrong with you. I said, there is something wrong with me.
You knew,
I can't
and the
breathe.
doctors didn't.
I knew.
Yeah.
And the stress test wasn't showing it.
Right.
Because I overcompensated. And so, but then I had a CAT scan and an angiogram, and they showed that I had severe coronary artery disease. And I thought, how did this happen? But it happened through, hereditary,
nutrition,
but also through diet.
Yeah.
And I always thought if the furnace is hot enough, it'll burn. And it would burn, and I wouldn't gain weight, but it would leave an after effect. And over 50 years, it all added up.
Sure.
So I said to my doctor, is this reversible? And he said, it depends on the person. And I said, well, you're talking to him. He said, well, you maybe, go for it. And I signed up and I said, I'm going to change my whole lifestyle. And it's been 2 years now, and I reversed my own coronary artery disease by over 50%.
Wow.
And I'm stronger now than I have been in the last 20 years. Went back to Hawaii, did the Ironman, ran 5 marathons last year. I'm running LA in a couple of days.
On Sunday,
and so, I'm just out there enjoying it and realizing that I got a second chance where a lot of other people didn't. And realizing that some of the most vulnerable people on this planet are fit athletes, are the fittest, because either they're in denial, well, I'm going to punch through this, or they just, they don't know that there's a hidden dark secret going on. And so all of a sudden they go out for a run one day and they don't come home.
They collapse and die. What did you change? Did you change everything in terms of nutrition?
I really did. I mean, again, people say, what is your diet? And how do you approach it? And I say, I just let my conscience be my guide. I mean, we always, so many times people say, well, look at that, I shouldn't do this. Well, but then they do it. I'll eat it anyways, right? Well, you know what's good for you. You don't have to follow all these different diet programs.
Nope.
I mean, you know what's good and what isn't good. So all I did was I just cut out all the bad stuff.
Yes.
And I lost weight. I lowered my cholesterol level by over 100 points. And again, reversed my disease, and I felt better, stronger. Even little injuries, nagging injuries that I've had over the years went away because I weighed less, I wasn't carrying as much. I mean, it all fed on itself.
It was a domino theory.
It's a domino effect.
I love that.
And then it works on your head.
I feel better, I feel younger.
People say to me all the time, oh, do you miss having a beer or having a soda or eating a steak? Do I miss it? Why would I miss it? No, it wasn't hard. I was looking at this monitor that says, if you don't do this, you may not be around long enough to even consider having a steak again someday. So I made the change, and here I am now, and I haven't felt as good as I feel now for 20, 30 years.
Have you had other people who've come up to you and said, oh my God, look what you've done, how can I do it? And they've done it too?
Not only that, I probably got about, at least 50 to 100 emails from athletes all over the country who said, if it happened to you, it probably can happen to me.
No question.
They've had a similar sensation but never did anything about it. They said, well, and then I went and I got checked, and I come out of the hospital 3 days later with 3 stents. You saved my life. And I said, no, I didn't save your life. You saved your life. You did something about it.
Right.
You acted on it. You were the smart person. So that's why sometimes I almost feel embarrassing to say that this happened to me.
Right.
Because a lot of it was self-inflicted. So, you don't want to tell the world that. On the other hand, if it can help save lives, why not?
When you look back and you think about doing that first Ironman and needing a support crew and having to rip a page out of a phone book and just find some random person, our world of endurance, there was 108 of us back then, now hundreds of thousands, millions who are participating in our world. Who would have guessed that?
Not me.
Yeah, not me either.
In a sense, but it was funny, when I went back to do Ironman in 2014, having not done it for 25 years.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine that sensation. I was at the race meet a couple of times, but I wasn't there to do the race, right?
It's different.
It was for me, it was just totally intimidating.
Yeah.
It really was, because people took it so seriously. The equipment has changed so much. I mean, I felt way, way, way out of my element.
Yes.
But I was old school guy being plunked in the middle of all of this. And there was something special about that. I'm going to say, I can understand that it should go where it's gone, but I'm going to stick to my roots and do it my way. And I survived it, got through it, and felt really good that I was able to come back and do it again.
Love that. And this year when you run Boston, what number will that be?
This will be number 44, my 29th at night, and bringing up the rear, the last finisher. But I made a commitment back in 1973 to do this race every year for the rest of my life, and so far I've fulfilled that commitment.
Hey, thank you so much, Dave, for everything you've done. Running, triathlons, sport wouldn't be the same without your involvement.
Thank you. We're all in this thing together, and same goes to you, Bob.
All right, Dave McGillivaray has been our guest. Hold on, everyone. We'll be right back.
Hi, it's Dana here from Events.com. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for more tips, tricks, or just to say hi.